We've got $50 to make the best CS2 investment, and on a cheaper budget right now, there's no better way to look than at the Austin Major. Things could not be going better in terms of a potential investment. Now, it's really hard inside of this area because I don't want to make an investment preemptively, but if we want to look at the data right now, things are extremely solid. We're looking at very strong unboxing numbers in terms of the application rates. It's not something we want to see super high, and therefore right now it's in a good position, but most importantly, we're looking at those ROIs. They are extremely desirable. We're talking over 100% for our 3 sticker capsules, and it's prolonged at this as well. We're talking about some really expensive hollows inside of these, which is really good for appeal and demand, and most importantly, sustaining demand. If these capsules are having expensive stickers inside of them at a price point of 25 cents, it's very likely that this is not going to be dropping down significantly once they actually do get removed. Now, obviously, they are not removed yet. That sale is going to be going on for quite a while still, but we are going to be making an investment later on just because these ROIs right now are extremely solid, and honestly, at a 25-cent price point, it's an extremely low barrier to entry. Obviously, we know capsules can go cheaper. We saw Paris and everything like that, but when we're looking at Austin right here, I see a lot of potential, and honestly, I don't know exactly when they're going to get removed. I'm sure we'll get an update, but in terms of this series, I don't know if it's going to be another full month, so we're going to be making our investment now. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with their brand new instant sale system. Starting off today, you're going to be getting a free $10 on your first trade, and you're going to be able to get that money instantly. It's not going to take 7 days to get paid with Skinland. You can do it in just minutes after Valve's latest update. Best part is they've got tons of different payout options, and don't forget to use code MasterShiny to get everything you're looking for. They're the safest option if you're looking to sell your CS2 skins, plus their massive marketplace offering every single thing you're looking for if you're trying to buy CS2 skins as well, and a ton of different deposit options. So don't wait, use code MasterShiny and get paid instantly for your CS2 skins. Now, talking about the best opportunity to invest into right now, you probably know hands down for me, it's going to be the character craft stickers. We're talking about an extremely cheap barrier to entry for the majority of these items. Now, everything from the armory that's slated to get removed is probably going to be ending up being a relatively decent investment, but the character craft stickers are very precise in terms of the fact that you can get exactly which sticker you want. You can go for one that's going to be costing you $6-7 like the Taste Buddy, or instead you could be going for some of these blue ones that are 10, 15, even up to 30 cents. There's a lot of opportunities to go for the specific sticker you like, which is what I really want about this investment opportunity. I personally am not going to be disclosing which exact stickers I've invested into. It hasn't worked in the past, but there's a lot of opportunity here when we're talking about this specifically. I like a lot of these stickers, and honestly, as long as you look at the application rates and see the ones that you're investing into have stable demand, and they're not ones that are extremely underapplied for the respective tier, I think you're probably going to be ending up in a relatively decent position. It's going to take some time, and obviously it's not going to be an instant success, but there's a lot of opportunity here, and especially with the graphic and the gallery case as well. Both of these are still great options, especially the gallery case. It's a little bit expensive for this series because when a case like that comes out, you're going to be wanting to buy a lot of them in mass. We don't have a budget like that. We got $50. We're going to be talking about it a little bit more at the end because I still really like this overall area as an opportunity, but there's so much potential inside of this area. If you've got a lower budget, I would highly suggest checking it out inside of the current market. Another area you probably know I love is going to be these rare cases, and right now the prices are dropping down to a very practical level in terms of making a very heavy investment. We're talking about our snake bites, 75 to 80 cents, and we're talking about our danger zones and our Prisma 1s, our Prisma 2s, all those under $2. Really good price points to buy. Most likely you're going to be looking at the fracture case as well. This one's a little bit more interesting as it is not fully leveled out yet. It was at about 54-ish cents before the update where it got removed into the rare drop pool. Now it's about 65 to 70 cents depending on what time you're looking. So it's definitely up a little bit, and we saw that major peak as well. Overall, I would just be a little bit more careful with the fracture case. We don't know exactly what's going on here, and the supply on this thing is extremely massive. I would say if you want something that's super long term, obviously the fracture is going to get there eventually. I really like the snake bite over the fracture in the current market. Even the clutch is still looking at a very strong investment opportunity as well. Overall, the rare case market in itself, any case you go into, is most likely going to be a very solid outlook for the future of this area specifically. In my personal opinion, I think there is a very strong potential that these are going to be one of the most safe investments moving forward. We've seen that in the past, and most likely some of the best in terms of the percentage ROI you're going to be getting for your said investment, because a lot of them, especially the cheaper rare cases, have a huge upside with them, especially because of the Seal Genesis terminal, which we might hit on a little bit later. Right now, if we look at the unboxing numbers, we look at every aspect of a practical demand we can see for these rare cases. They are one of the best, and I think it's probably going to be sustaining that way moving forward. Now, talking about our major sticker market, a lot of people have really been looking at this area because of everything we saw with Stockholm, Copenhagen, Shanghai, really everything that we saw shoot up in price and then lose a lot of that value. People are wondering, should they be investing into these items now that they are at a very cheap price point compared to what they were sitting at just a couple of weeks ago? And I would be extremely nervous about doing that in my personal opinion. Obviously, we know, especially the Stockholm items, they were heavily manipulated. The rest of the items just saw a very big hype spree, which was overall influenced by the market. I'm not too concerned about that, but I want you to look at like a 1-year outlook of some of these items, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about being that they saw zero movement outside, and then we saw this hype spree come in. Now, when we're talking about buying a capsule at 25 cents like the Austin Major, that's not as big of a concern, but we're talking about buying a capsule at $1, $2 that's already saw some pretty massive amount of growth. I would say it's a little bit concerning for me personally, because it's very possible it might stagnate or even lose some of that value. It's not necessarily impossible for it to see that. Now, talking about any investment relating to the Seal Genesis terminal at this point is going to be extremely pointless. I would say these items inside of it are going to be keeping on decreasing in price unless you can get them for 3 cents a piece. There's no reason why you should be investing in anything for the Seal Genesis terminal, in my personal opinion. It's now an active duty drop. It's going to be around for a very significant amount of time. Please do not make any investments inside of this. And then if you're trying to make any investment into something that's extremely low liquidity right now, I would be extremely cautious just because of the overall situation that the market is in. Yes, our market cap is very solid, and yes, overall the market is growing relatively strong, but when we're talking about these low liquidity items, it just takes a couple to go ahead and crash that specific item. Just be careful, and especially if you don't have a ton of budget, I would probably avoid these. Just my personal opinion on this area. Now, the first investment I'm going to be making, hands down, you probably know, is going to be into some of these character craft blue stickers, specifically the blue ones with very high application rates that are not extremely expensive. I've got a couple that I've got my eyes on just because overall inside of this area, we want something that has very strong application rates, but I'm not trying to pay as much for like the flex sticker. I like it. I think it's cool. It's a little bit too expensive for my personal budget inside of this video. With that being said, all of these blue stickers, relatively speaking, if they've got decent application rates, are actually not too expensive. So I think you can go whichever one you would like. I would just avoid the ones that are super below average in terms of the applications. The second investment I'm going to be making is into the fracture case. Now, I talk a lot of bad about the fracture case right now at a price point of 65 cents with a buy order. It's not terrible, and honestly, it's a very long-term play, and that's exactly what you want in part of your portfolio to balance out the rest of it. I think getting into this rare case is not going to be the most beneficial compared to something like the snake bite, but I also don't know for sure, and that's why we're picking up some of these. Little bit of a hedge, little bit of just investing into the rare case market in general. Now, the third investment I'm going to be making is into the Austin Major, and we're going to be splitting this up rather equally at the start here. We might make more of an investment later, but we're going an equal split of the 3 major capsules, being the challengers, the contenders, and the legends. Now, I have my personal opinion about which capsule I think is going to be doing better, but at a price point of just around $13 total budget for us to spend on this area, I want to make sure we've got our equal chances of getting the maximum amount of profit, and it's not worthwhile to go all in on one capsule at this low of a budget. I think overall it's a very solid area, and the Austin Major is definitely going to be one that's a long-term play as well, but I really like everything we're seeing about it so far, and I think it's got some pretty great opportunities ahead of it. And lastly, for me, I'm going to be picking up some of the gallery case as my number 4 investment, just because honestly it's a really cheap price point for something that's potentially going to be a discontinued case. I can't really pass it up, and the price point is so similar to the Fever case at this point, which is very interesting to me. I think there is a huge opportunity with honestly all of the investments we talked about today. Very interesting. Not usually the case that they're all super great, but I really like the current market. That's all I got with these 2 watching. Have a great rest of your day.